What's up guys, it's me IQB. So I guess we're back with another 5-minute review. Honestly, I do quite enjoy making these, however they do take quite a bit of time to make, so please do consider leaving a like and showing some support down below, as making these videos as informative as possible within 5 minutes is actually more difficult than it seems. So last time we reviewed Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I'll put a notification at the top right in case you guys haven't seen that, and I'll put probably one at the end as well in case you want to check it out. I also want to mention something quickly about some of the things which happened in the review and which we spoke about, which has now currently changed with how the game has updated itself. Warzone has been added, and that's free to play, which is actually quite awesome. Not only that, but I should mention something in the last video which was turned out to be inaccurate, however it appeared that way when I recorded it. Weapons which were locked behind the kind of like DLC pay for battle pass are no longer locked. You can actually get those weapons by completing a set challenge after the season has ended, which, at least in my eyes, is pretty good. It means that you can get the crossbow, a very unique weapon still, and you can still use it in the game. You just need to do something for it. I'm really happy that they made these changes, so I kind of want to boost up the score for it from a 6 out of 10 to a 8 out of 10, just because they have made some great changes, and it does seem to be, well, probably the most popular Call of Duty game that we've had recently, and it is really, really, really fun as well. So yeah, I do recommend that you go and check that game out now, especially with the Warzone mode, which is free to play. But without further ado, we need to get into this review, which is Halo Wars 2. Halo Wars 2 was released on the 21st of February 2017, so it's not really as new as Modern Warfare, it's not necessarily the most relevant. However, Halo is kind of making a comeback, and I think that this is probably the most recent Halo game where we've got some more story in it, so let's give this RTS a chance, and let's see what it has to offer. Without further ado, let's get into the review. When Halo Wars 2 was released, I remember rushing back from college and installing the game as quickly as I could. The trailers looked amazing, and honestly I couldn't wait. Neither could most of my friends. We'd get to continue the Spirit of Fire story, and after that massive fight in Halo Wars 1 where the Spartans took on those elites, they are gonna kick some ass. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you establish a character. But something which I kind of want to draw attention to is the Spirit of Fire had taken on the Covenant and the Flood in Halo Wars 1 and had only just been able to make it out. How was they able to contend with the Banished, who we'd heard the Covenant couldn't even take on? They couldn't even do anything to the Banished. But one UNSC ship can? What the heck? With this reasoning aside, it is quite a decent campaign. The cutscenes are some of the best we've ever seen in Halo, and the plot's alright, it's not too bad. We also got some of the best action and fight scenes just in all of Halo, so there's something which needs to be noted, and I don't know why people don't talk about this more. Hopefully I've got some playing in the background, they are honestly just gorgeous. There's also Awakening the Nightmare, which is a paid campaign. It's not too bad, it brings back to Flood in a decent kind of canon way. This kind of might be how they get implemented into Infinite. It's pretty cool. And not only that, we've also got some great concepts for the Banished. Just look at the Hunter colony, even if I think they killed him off. But overall, Halo Wars 2 leaves you wanting more from the campaign. And I don't think that's because it's lacking. I think it's got some really decent missions. You really do enjoy it when you're playing it. Yeah, the thing is, once you've done it, you can't really remember too much about it. It has all these missions which are just kind of do a gimmick to win. It isn't like in Halo Wars 1 where you get like a Cyclops to actually go up onto the ship and start repairing the main guns, or where you have to face the Flood for the very first time, an enemy who you don't really know, or rescue civilians as the Covenant are invading on a time limit. In Halo Wars 1 we used to jump from planet to planet, but in Halo Wars 2 we kind of just have the Ark. It is cool, but it gets old after a while. I don't have too much to say about the campaign. It gave us a decent story and a brilliant new faction, but what about the multiplayer? Unfortunately, multiplayer games really go one of two ways. You either have a massive battle where you dominate the enemy using the same troops as you always use, or a teammate gets rushed. You're basically crippled throughout the entire game, where it either drags on or you're playing with a teammate down. it's not that fun. Rushing is a serious problem in Halo Wars 2, mostly because a lot of the units have been nerfed with upgrades being removed out of it, which makes rushing a bit easier for some units. You kind of have to prepare for it before it happens, which kind of means you have to play in a lame way to be able to even play the multiplayer, which again kind of sucks. And whilst on the subject about things which kind of suck, let's talk about leader abilities. They really suck, I mean that now. It's a great idea to be a general commanding your army and like using all these different things that you have in your arsenal, but it's so boring. Some of them just take the cake. One teleports enemy units away so you can destroy their base, one takes over enemy units and literally allows them to fight for you. There's a condensing beam which can completely destroy ground and air units. And Aatrox even has a blast which just destroys everything in a set area. I mean, come on, one of the abilities is called in basically a flying scarab. Why do we have a flying scarab? In Halo Wars 1 we did have a similar problem, but we did also have a disruption bomb which would stop any leader powers being used. In this we don't have a disruption bomb. Maybe I'm overreacting, but it sucks to build up a massive army and then click one button, your entire army's gone. And yes, everybody does have powerful abilities, but it just makes the units feel weaker. It doesn't help that the units are also missing most of the upgrades from Halo Wars 1. Upgrading units was fun. Why did they have to remove so much of this? Look at engineers for example. Engineers used to have 2 upgrades, now they have none. Wolverines used to have unrelenting volley, now they don't have that. It's a shame because Halo Wars 2 added so much to the way that combat worked. Cloaking allows units to be invisible, and artillery allows you to strike people from afar, but some of these abilities just make them unviable. You could set up artillery and the enemy just has to use one beam attack to destroy them. Why should you even bother using them when the enemy can do that? I feel that I've been negative about most of this, so please allow me to quickly state the positives about the game. Although I dislike the fact that some of the heroes are locked behind a paywall, when you do get to play them, they offer a completely new way to play the game and it is fun as heck. I mentioned before how you could play as a hunter named Colony, but you can also play as Sergeant Johnson, the Arbiter, and even a grunt named Yap Yap the Destroyer. You can tell that so much love went into making these characters and giving them unique playstyles. I've had tons of fun playing this game, and I want to make that clear. There are things which make the game less fun, but they don't outright destroy the experience. There are some really good elements in this game and some great innovations which have been made from the previous game. Halo Wars 2 is unfortunately less forgiving in my eyes and it lacks some of the elements that made the first game so fun. Some units in Halo Wars 2 are just unviable for example, or they have a set situation like the Suicide Grunts which can only take out infantry, whilst in the previous game they could just run at you and you'd kind of run in fear no matter what you had. Fun strategies often don't work, which is unfortunate for this game. They improved a lot of things from Halo Wars 1, however unfortunately took out the player's choice to be able to make an army and just have fun, and unfortunately it means that you'd never really get creative strategies, and if you do they're often countered by the same top units. Unfortunately Halo Wars 2 is just a bit too repetitive. Heading into the scores, I feel that I might have talked about this game too negatively, however they do need addressing as they're major flaws, at least in my eyes. Overall, Halo Wars 2 does run incredibly smoothly and the controls are great, whilst it does have a few bumpy edges in the form of the multiplayer balancing, or lack of I should say. I do say bravo to the developers in making this game. While the campaign is quite good and the multiplayer does need work, the creativity which went into this game is phenomenal. Also the art design, that's amazing as well. Hopefully they can use some of the ideas in Halo Infinite, but to give this game a score for its own merit, I have to give Halo Wars 2 a 7 out of 10. I think it does earn that 7 because it is above average. It's just missing some of the things. It needs a bit more fine tuning. And as I said, there's so many ways to play this game. I could easily bump this game up to an 8, however the leader abilities feel too much for me, and I do miss upgrading my army and getting my units to feel like they really are quite strong. Unfortunately, I just don't get that classic Halo Wars 1 feel. But what do you guys think? What would you score the game? What's your thoughts on it? Was I right or was I wrong, and what game do you want me to do next? I've got a game in mind. It's quite a classic one actually, however it's being remastered and it is one of my favourites. Thanks for watching guys, please check out my other review from Call of Duty Modern Warfare if you're interested in that. It only takes you 5 minutes. And please do leave a like and comment down below just to help support the channel. Thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.